Hi, I'm Terry, and I'm nuts about stamping. I'm back today with another Sundays with Sizzix project. It's this little box designed with Teacher Appreciation Week in mind. Working in an elementary school, I can tell you that teachers love little things that make them feel very special. And so I'm going to show you a project today that you can create and then put a variety of different things inside. And we'll talk more about that later. Here's what you need to make this box. You're going to use your Big Shot. This time you're going to use your extended cutting pads and your Bitty Box and envelope die. For ink, I used Pumpkin Pie and Pacific Point. For cardstock, I used Pumpkin Pie, Pacific Point, and Whisper White. I used 3 different stamp sets, Short and Sweet, Bold Blossom, 4 frames. The 4 frames is a sneak peek promotion that's happening right now. You can get this stamp set and a pack of Designer Series paper in April, but it's not going to be available after April until the new catalog comes out. That's why it's a sneak peek. This stamp set and the paper that goes with it is going to be coming out in the new idea book and catalog, which goes live July 1st. Along with that then, because I have 2 clear mount stamp sets, I use Clear Block B and Clear Block D. And then I use 3 punches. This is one of the punches out of the punch pack. It's a little flower punch. I used my Build a Cupcake punch. And I used my decorative label punch. The decorative label punch and the 4 frame stamp set go perfectly together. And then for adhesive, I use snail adhesive. I used my Stampin' Dimensionals, I hardly have any left, and my 2-way glue pen. All right, I'll clear off my spot and I'll be back in just a moment to show you how to create the box using the Big Shot. Back in a moment. So I have my Big Shot all set up and ready to go. I have my extended cutting pad on the bottom, my Bitty Box and envelope die on top, and then I cut a piece of cardstock that's designed just to fit the Bitty Box shape that I want to cut out. I don't need the envelope right now, although I could have a whole long piece of cardstock and get that ready and use the envelope for maybe a card to go with my box. And then I'm going to put on the other extended cutting pad, and then I'm going to run it through my Big Shot. Let's just bring it in closer. There we go. Now the neat thing about the Bitty Box die is it requires absolutely no adhesive to put it together. That's what made me buy it in the first place. A lot of times you have to use a lot of sticky strip, but not for this one. All right, so this one cuts it out in the shape of the box, and then it also scores it. So what you want to do is, if you had your bone folder, that would be handy, although you don't necessarily need it. You want to make sure you fold everything on the score line first. And then what I did was, because I'm using a solid color of cardstock, it was pretty plain after I put it all together, so I actually took the box apart and decided to add some dimension to it by stamping on it. So now that I've got my score lines all done and ready, what I did was I brought in my Pumpkin Pie, my Bold Blossom stamp set, and Clear Block B. I mounted up this little flower image, and then I did 2nd generation stamping. And I'll show you, for those of you that are fairly new to stamping, 2nd generation stamping is really good when you don't want a really dark image. What you do is bring in a piece of scrap paper, ink up your stamp, stamp down on scrap paper first, then bring in your project and stamp down on it. And then you would ink it up again, stamp down, which would be 1st generation, and then stamp on your project, which would be 2nd generation. What it does is it creates a lighter stamped image so that it's just sort of fading into the background and not sort of a stark image on top. All right, so I did that all over my project, and then what I did was I put my box together, which is really simple to do. What you want to do is get these pieces up, these pieces inside, like so. And then this piece comes down. These two little tabs go inside, like so. And then this little piece folds. So let me get that nice and open. Fold the tab in. And then, there we go. Push that in like that. And there you go. Isn't that cute? I just love this Big's extra long die. So once you've got your box put together, and again, no adhesive, then I brought in, let me bring this in and I'll show you what I did to complete it. On Scrap Whisper White cardstock, I used the 4 frames stamp set, stamped this image using Pacific Point, and then what I did was I inked up the Thank You from the Short and Sweet stamp set in Pumpkin Pie, stamped that on top of the 4 frames image, and then I punched it out using my decorative label punch. And it still seemed a little plain. So then what I did was I brought in that little flower punch from the punch pack, punched 3 flowers using Pacific Point that was scrap cardstock. I always have scrap cardstock lying around, and so I'd like to use it up. And then I used my cupcake punch. Let me bring that in. My Build a Cupcake punch. It's got these little confetti dots, so I just slipped in a piece of pumpkin pie, punched out 3 pieces of confetti, and put that in the center of the flower to add the contrast to the center of the flower. And that's it. The box is ready to go. Now, what could you put inside of it? Well, I can tell you that teachers love and use all the time sticky notes. So if you could find maybe one of those dollar store sticky note pads to put inside, maybe a piece of chocolate or 2, because teachers work long hours and need lots of extra energy. Some maybe inexpensive earrings if your teacher likes jewelry. I'm sure you could come up with a multitude of ideas to put inside this teacher appreciation box. For a complete list of the supplies and the ingredients I used to make this cute little bitty box, please visit my blog, www.nutsaboutstamping.com. While on my blog, you're welcome to subscribe to my free customer newsletters. I send out lots of different ideas each month that you won't see anywhere else. You can place an order in my online store, which is open 24/7, so if you want to order these supplies to make this box, you can do that, or you can contact me to support you in making an order. I'm Terry. I am nuts about stamping. See you next time. Bye for now.